Hi, it's Joe from BeauxArts Fine Art Materials on the lovely coast of Florence, Oregon. And today we will be talking about alcohol inks, and they're pretty popular. They come in little containers like so, and I have a couple laid out. These are the new colors from Jacquard. I'm a big fan of them because the saturation of colors are beautiful and vibrant, and also they have an amazing line of metallics that are just beautiful and very metallic-y. So I'll be showing you a couple things. There are so many things out there in the world regarding alcohol inks. There's no way that anyone can ever cover all of it. And so it's important to know that you are welcome to experiment with things, and that's the whole process of art, is to have fun, experiment, and do cool things. So primarily what you need to play with your alcohol inks is some slick paper, such as this is called Yupo Paper. It is a I'm going to mess up the name, but essentially it's a plastic paper. A lot of restaurants use this particular paper for their menus. You may see that around. It's important to wash your hands. Always wash your hands. But also very important for this when you're working with any papers. Your hand oils can deposit on your paper and kind of mess up what you're working on. It's fairly easy to cut. This is a strip of a 22 by 30 sheet of paper that I cut a chunk off of. That's a little bit more economical than buying a pad. It also comes in like a translucent color too, but we're not going to be working with that. Also, you can cut it really easily. It doesn't really rip, so don't even try to rip it because it will maul up and it will be bad looking. So this is an important, your substrate is super important to have when you're working with the alcohol inks. You don't want to use paper. This is watercolor paper. You don't want to use that because it's too absorbent and you can't move the alcohol inks, and so then you kind of lose the beauty of it. So then you just use watercolors with it because that will perform better. So this is an important thing. You can also use non-porous surfaces such as glass, cheers, and clear glass too. It makes a beautiful tea cup holders, and also a lot of people use tiles for like your bathroom. That you can get at the hardware store or any home improvement center, shop local. So those are important little bits. There's also a blending solution that I don't have, and a cleanup solution which I don't have tonight, but those are also available. We're going to be using isopropyl rubbing alcohol today. This might be precious stuff because of the COVID stuff, so we're going to just use this sparingly today. I don't recommend using the 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol because what ends up happening is that this is cut with water, so it's only 70% isopropyl, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But it's cut with water, and then it doesn't quite work as well. So but it does do an interesting effect, so always experiment. It makes things matte looking, as I'll show you there. Blah. I'm going to show you a couple example pieces. This is a blah piece that I used the 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol on. It has not been coated. Here's another piece. I'm a big abstract lover with the alcohol inks, so we're going to be playing with that tonight. And here's a couple different versions. This is a version to show you that you can write on top of your creations. This is Posca pen. That's a marker, a Copic marker that has been written on top of a creation here. This is just a beautiful abstract here. This is a deep and moody abstract here. I'm a big fan of using 3 to 4 colors that jive together. This is my space one that I made. Sorry that there's not a very good light source for you to kind of see how that really looks in real life. This is just a simple one. Here's another one. You can, this one I really like because of this tone here, which I used the 70% isopropyl with. And then here's, I'm a big fan of the gold, as you can see. So yep, so we cycled through that. These are the new colors that Jacquard recently came out with. We have a bright pink, a coral, a teal, a blue violet, and a golden yellow. So I am going to make a little strip card first with my Yupo paper to kind of show the colors that are available. So I'm going to make a little bit of a impromptu color chart. This is the golden yellow. Just want to see kind of what those colors are and see how they kind of run a little bit. Let's do the coral next. This is the coral. Boom. And if you're sensitive to smells, I do recommend that you work with these in a ventilated environment, as they do have a little bit of a smell, and I don't want you to get sick. So I didn't shake that up enough, it appears. So yeah, it's important to shake these up, especially the metallics. This is the pink. Oh, I'm excited about this. I don't even like pink, but it's a fun pink. I'm going to do a little bit of a drop. So I'm using the white Yupo so I can really see what colors these alcohol inks create. Like I said, I love the Jacquard brand. They're very potent and powerful, and they are a great price. Oh, I didn't shake that up. And then this is the blue violet here. And we're just going to do a little drop so we can see what those are. And again, you probably aren't going to be able to see the exact colors that I'm working with today just because of lighting and screen colors and all that stuff. And once you start using your, let's get this in a little focus more for you. Once you start using your colors more, they'll start looking a little crazy like that. And that's okay. Just know that also when you're working, you may stain your skin. So if you are self-conscious about that or conscious about allowing your skin to absorb things, then do wear some gloves. I don't, because it's okay that sometimes I look like I murdered a Smurf. And I did that once. Remove your jewelry if possible, because it's hard to get off. You can also use the isopropyl rubbing alcohol and the remover that they make for these particular paints or inks. This is some of the metallics. I just kind of want to give you a little brief showing of that to shake that up. And I can't. Well, and they're also sometimes hard to open. And I guess I should have opened these before I started. But it's all trial and error. So this is one of the silver. Boop. And then when you start mixing these in with the colors, that's where the magic's going to happen. So let's, Dan, I might have you open these because I'm bad and I didn't open them beforehand. Okay, so there's a little bit of a color chart for you, and I'll finish that up a little later and have that available for everyone to see. I don't own all of the colors, but I have a significant amount. I also want to show you the Marabu colors. These are brand new on the market. They're about the same price as the Jacquard, which is cool, and it's like the same amount, about the same amount. So they just have a different shaped bottle. So anyhoozle, we can kind of get going. This is one of my favorite things to do, and what I like to do is pick out a couple colors that are that go together and would blend together so you don't get mud. So I see that somebody named Gail asks, how do they compare to the Ranger inks? The Ranger inks are also a line of alcohol inks, and they come in like the same size bottle of this. Those are usually more readily available at for like craft stores, and his line is more geared towards having kits available, and they sometimes come individually, but they also come in sets of 3s. He puts them into cool little packs for people. He has a different range of colors that goes with different projects that he might have. And you can also mix colors to kind of achieve those same colors. The Ranger inks are fine. I don't like their metallics because they're not as rich and metallic-y as the Jacquard ones. So I lean towards the Jacquard. And so I hope that answered some of your questions that you might have there. They're alcohol inks. I prefer the Jacquard. But you can certainly experiment and play with everything. It's okay. That's what art is. So I have not been able to really play with the new colors. So I would like to kind of see what happens with the teal. And I'm a big fan of the Baja Blue. Let's get that open. Oh, I'm not. Oops. Also open it not over your paper because it does get crusty. Sorry about that. And so like what I'd like to do is to pick out a couple colors that go well together and that will flow into each other well. So I'm also going to pick, I'm going to do brass because this is a neat looking color. And you always want to shake the metallics because they tend to separate, as you can see here. So that's an important thing to do. So I see Jenna says, do I deliver materials? Yes, I do. Currently, right now, BeauxArts Fine Art Materials is closed and only open by appointment and curbside pickup because of the COVID situation that all of us are dealing with right now. So I hope that you're happy, healthy, and doing good, productive things in your life. So if you do need any materials, always feel free to message me on Facebook, on YouTube, or give me a call as well. And I heard that it's not a good thing to say your phone number over the YouTubes, so I'm not going to do that. So you can find my phone number in the description. I'll add it on there. So yes, I'm more than happy to do that. Tomorrow on the 15th, I'll be there at noon. So happy to fulfill orders for that too. And also everything is still at an everyday discount. Okay, so let's shake that copper. Oh, I'm going to use copper. Or was I going to use brass? I'm going to use brass. I like that. And then I want to like a lighter color. So what I do, as you can see here, is I'm lining up and kind of just getting those caps off and so that I can kind of prep it to get ready. You don't really want to leave your caps off because this will tend to evaporate, which is, and it dries fast. So you have a little bit of working time. I like to do abstracts, like I said, so I'm going to do a couple little weird drops. I'm going to let it flow. Let it go. Ooh, look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Look at that flowage. And let's see if we can get in there a little tighter for you to see that. And then we're going to add a little bit of the yellow. This is the golden yellow. Boom, boom. So So that's fun. And as you can see, it's kind of drying a little bit, so it's not quite moving as fast. And we're going to add a couple, I'm going to shake it a little bit, get some little splatters in there because I like that look. I'm also working on a surface that's made for watercolor because I don't want to ruin the surface I'm working on. So that's why I have this surface down. So don't do this on the kitchen counter. Don't do this on your nice dining room table. You can use your mouth to blow this or not. I am using a camera lens DSLR cleaner for my air. You can use canned air. I don't really like to use canned air. It's expensive. And so you can move it around with the air. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Look at that. And you can be a little bit more violent with it or not. And as you can see, I'm blowing right here where the red tip is, and that's already dry. You can also reactivate some of this by adding a little bit more, boop, boop. Which is cool. I hope that this is in focus. And you can kind of move things around and do some cool looking things with that. Boop. Ooh, look at that. Gorgeous. Love it. So that's just a simple abstract thing you can do. You can cut this up, you can mat it and frame it. My sister-in-law, she made an incredible triptych where she did similar things with colors that she liked that went with her style and image, and she framed it all in the same frame, and it looks like geodes. They're just gorgeous, and I really love that. You can also use this and use it on an appropriate size that would fit on a card and glue it to that. And then one thing I do want to note is that if you do want to seal these, sometimes like with the glass or a tile, you may want to seal it, and that's important. So if you want to put a glass on it, it doesn't get scuffed up, is that you want to use Kumar spray varnish for it. That does not reactivate the alcohol ink. So if you do go that route, be sure to use that, and then you can use one of the other traditional spray varnishes or a brush on or a resin. I would still put the Kumar down if you were going to resin it, but it's all an experiment, and I would encourage you to play around, but that Kumar is super important, so note that. Very important. Kumar spray varnish. Shh. Rotate. Shh. Always do a test spray first. So we're gonna experiment with a couple other surfaces too. I have a shell here, and I kind of want to do something hot and wild, so I'm going to go back to that pink color because it looks like Barbie pink, and I think we need a little bit of pink love in our life. I'm going to spray this. I have a little bottle here of the 99 isopropyl rubbing alcohol in a little spray bottle, because I just want to have the ink flow well on it. So I've sprayed that down. So since this has already colors on it, I don't care. I want to see the pink in the white and kind of have a contrast between nature and synthetic. And if you wanted it all white, you would paint it white with something, probably just some acrylic paint you could do. I would gesso it first and then add the pink. And this is still wet. And I want to add a little bit of the rainbow. This is, I didn't cut that open right. So that needs to be cut open. This is the Jacquard, or excuse me, the Marabu rainbow. This is new. Boom, boom, boom. And what I love about this is that it's like unicorn magic, is that it blends in with whatever color you're using and adds a little bit of rainbow to it in that tint. And I got it all over my hands, but that's okay. Make sure you cap things. So this is still kind of moving and drying. It's quite beautiful. See if I can zoom in there for you to see that movement. Ooh, not quite. You can kind of see it sparkle. Okay. So it's still drying, which is fun. And then what you can do on the inside too is paint it, but wait until it's dry. I'm picking up some of the color that was down that flowed off, adding it in. You can still do that. I'm using just a watercolor brush today to dab in with the color. I recommend a watercolor brush because it's soft. And you can rinse it out with the cleanup solution or some isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Put those caps on. Okay, so there's that shell. So I think it's quite cool. I might add a little bit of something else later and maybe paint the inside, but I don't really need to do that right now. But I can. But I'd wait till it dries. And then one of the other cool things you can do is with the glasses. Just want to do a little bit of a drippy drop. I'll show you quickly here. This little heart I did with a PBO product. It's for glass painting. And so you can do that too if you want. And so let's see. I'm going to do kind of a crazy drippy drop thing with you guys. Boop. Boop. And you can let it run and do wild things. I'm going to give it a little spray. Makes a cool little effect. Now since it's a round object, you're going to have to kind of keep it moving until it dries. But it gives it kind of a neat little watercolor effect. So and spraying the alcohol on it like this kind of reactivates it, so it's going to have a neat looking marble look. And you can see since I used these two colors that went well together, it made a beautiful purple. I would recommend that if you're going to do glasses with this stuff, stay away from the mouth area because you really don't want to have the consume it. Ugh, can't quite talk. And it colors kind of went a little awry. Let's do another little spritz. So if you have something in mind, just know that it may not turn out exact. And I can go back in here later with some alcohol and get rid of that off of the rim there. And look, it looks like a little mermaid. Oops, didn't even spray that in the right direction. Boop, boop, doop. So you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. And here's with the air. And it's looking like it's drying. That makes a really neat effect. This is subtle, but pretty. Let's get down on there. So this too, you do want to do seal with that Kumar varnish when you're done. So it looks like it's kind of drying up now. So voila, there you go. You got a cool little cup. I do recommend if you are going to make some cups and such, make them more for decorative things to put things in rather than something that you would want to use to consume a beverage. just because it's better to, if you're going to be using it a lot, it may deteriorate and rub off. And then that's when the coaster thing comes in, where you should use that Kumar and then seal it with another type of varnish. So voila, you can do a lot of cool stuff. One thing to remember is put your cap near the color you're using and double check before you put it on, because you don't want to put a dark color on a light color or mess up your yellow. That might ruin your jive that you're working on. So anyway, if you have any questions, always feel free to let me know. Art is amazing and you should use it to your advantage, and you don't always have to show anybody what you do. You can make abstract things. You don't always have to make flowers. You can be wild and creative and try different surfaces. You can paint leather with the alcohol inks. You can do the glasses. You can do a whole bunch of things. And my hands aren't really that dirty, so if you're careful, you'll be fine. And then let's do another shell, because I really liked doing it on that other surface. So I'm going to come back over here. And since this is a palette from one of my watercolor sets, and I'm going to put some of the rainbow here, and I'm digging that teal. I'll squeeze that out. I have a little bit of pink in here, but that's okay. And I'm just gonna paint that on. So now I have a little bit more control. I don't know what that is on that shell. So I have a little bit more control. I can make kind of an ombre effect. Once this dries on this, I can reactivate it again. Look how pretty that looks. Also, some people use the Copic marker refills, because that's also an alcohol ink. You can do that too, but that's really expensive to do. They're also coming out, their original alcohol ink refills were large. I'm sorry I don't have one on me. And now they're making them smaller. So it's not really... I mean, if there's a specific color you're looking for, by all means, give that a try, but it's not the coolest way to do things, or the most price economic way. Some people also use glossy photo paper that you can get at the drugstore. I don't even bother with it because I like the way the Yupo works. It's worth the extra. It's not even extra money to do the Yupo, because that other paper for your inkjets are expensive. So there we go. And then boop boop a doop. See, now I got a little bit of dye on my hand. That's okay. I'm going to spray this to make little marks. Oops, wrong direction. Wrong direction. Oh, I did it too much. It's okay. Oh well. Ta-da! Here's a little shell. And then I'm going to show you over here. This is one of the techniques you can do with the further away spray. That was my backsplash spray when I sprayed the wrong direction. So that made a really unique look on the alcohol inks, little puddles. Some people also light this on fire. It is flammable. So just know flammable. Be careful. Don't smoke and make art at the same time. You might ash in it or blow up. Hi, Ed. He just said hi today. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. I know you haven't really played with alcohol inks, but that's okay. So there's a little shell there. I also want to show you kind of what white does. This is kind of a secret, interesting looking. Why would I need white? I got white paper. Well, this makes things more pastel, so I'm going to add a little drop to my palette here that I have going and mix it in. And let's do another shell. Grab a shell with some colors. So we're going to do, keep it going. I'm going to add a little bit more isopropyl to it. And it's drying, but it's a little bit more opaque. So you can add, have a little bit more coverage. It makes your colors more pastel. So let's do kind of a fun spring version. I'm going to abandon that project and finish that later, but let's do a little bit of a springy color. I'm going to do a small piece that's springy looking. So we're going to do the coral, keep that cap near there. We're going to do the teal, keep that cap there. We're going to do the white. And then let's do, I'm going to just keep the cap on it. I'm really digging these new colors. So, boop. We'll add a little white. Ooh, look at how pretty that moves. There's the coral. That makes a neat looking effect. And the teal. And there you have some fun spring abstract going on there. And you can also pick up your work and you can tilt it too if you don't have a little blower. And there's some neat looking cells that are showing up there too. And I'm going to add just a little bit more air to this piece. While it's still wet. So there, the white makes a nice little pastel look to your work. And then I'm going to add a little bit more white just to max that out and bring down that darker tone that was there. Voila! Very cool. And then I'm going to do a little mist from far away. Let's see. Oh, now it's making even little smaller cells in there. So that looks really cool. Oh man. That's awesome. I also want to let you know on another little secret is that the pearl is really neat because it makes whatever color you're working with pearlized. So compared to the gold, which we worked with earlier, that pretty much stays gold within itself. And it does spread out, but it doesn't really entangle mix with the inks. So you'll have more definition of what those golds and silvers are like. And then the pearl just kind of mixes in really nicely with your color. So it will be like a pearl pink rather than a gold and a pink. So let's do a little bit of a experiment with that. We're going to use, I really like that pink. Man, why am I being all Malibu Barbie today? So let's give that a little shake. And also add the white to it too. So here's that. Boom, boom, boom. Kind of make one big kind of area. And since that's kind of moving. So here is adding the pearl. To it. As you can see, it's mixing in with the pink. Going back over to the white, we're going to make it pastel-y pink to the side there. And it looks like the white is a little bit more heavy, so it's sinking down to the bottom. And we can kind of manipulate that too with the air. And then I'm going to go use the, oh, where'd my gold go? Oh, let's use the brass. So this is going to be the brass. And I hope this is still kind of wet and workable. Boom. See, that stays a little bit more within itself and then spreads. So this is why I really like the metallics, is because they don't necessarily mix in and make a pearl effect. They make kind of a cool gold. It floats on top. So I love that dynamic. It looks super cool in real life. It looks like gold. It's not like a cheesy fakey gold. Well, this is brass. But when you're working with it, it does look like a metal, which is really cool. You can also, once you've done this, similar to like a watercolor background, you can go back in and write something on it. You can cut the strip down and make it, say, joy or summer or Malibu Beach Barbie. So there's a lot of things you can play around with. And I think that the most important part of working with the alcohol inks is experimenting with your different surfaces, your different colors and color mixtures. It's okay to use different brands and use them together. It's all fun, and you're supposed to enjoy what you're working on. I also want to just revisit the substrate issue again and really show you how and why not to use a paper, and that you need to use a non-porous surface like the Yupo paper, because it's not that expensive if you're concerned about prices. So I'm going to show you here. This is our pink situation. So this is a piece of watercolor paper. We're going to go back to the pink. I'm going to zoom in there for you, and I'm going to just do a drop, and then it immediately soaks in. And I can't, and I'm going to flip this over to show you, and this is pretty dry. Not quite. Oh, also don't pick it up when it's wet, because you'll see how I have a thumbprint there. Don't do that unless you want that. That's kind of neat, but you may not want that in your work, and I can't quite get a good reflection of that big old thumbprint I just put in there. So I'm gonna kind of do a comparison right after each other here. So here is the pink, Just going to do a drop. Boom. Boom. I want to move it around. I can't. I want to move it around. I can. I can't. So that's why you use this. If you go back in, you can't really get it to go. And then you can do that with that. Ooh, look at that. See, that's why you want to work from it from far away. And I just tried to put the cap on that. Oops. So does anybody have any questions? You're always welcome to holler and talk when I'm doing this. Also, what I do, I store these in a Ziploc bag just to make sure that they don't leak on anything, or have a dedicated container for these. I know Tim Holtz makes a really cool container that holds about 9 or 12 bottles. The Tim Holtz and Jacquard use the same bottles, which is awesome. Marabu is a little bit taller, so these will not work in that particular cool case that he has. And it's not even expensive to use. So I would encourage you to let me know if you have any questions. I'm always happy to do a Zoom with you, or do a phone call, email, help answer your questions. I don't know everything, but that's also, nobody knows everything. So I'm happy to help and help you experiment and get your projects rocking and rolling. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. BeauxArts Fine Art Materials is my shop's name, and I hope that you are not, if you're not in our area, to shop at your local art supply store, your brick and mortar. So yes, thank you. Have a great rest of your week. I'll be back on Friday doing brush out. So thank you.